The general is back. And he brought back a pregnant woman. Upon hearing the news, I sprinted wildly to the front of the manor. I even lost an embroidered shoe while running. The travel-worn general and I locked eyes from afar. Both of our eyes brimmed with tears. Finally, we found the male lead's mother. I settled the woman in the best courtyard of the entire manor. After returning to my room, I started rummaging through my things. The general has gone too far. Miss, you used to brave life and death with him. And went to the battlefield together. It hasn't even been that long since you took off your armor. And the general already brought a woman back, who is also pregnant. Miss, you don't even have an heir of your own yet. I turned a deaf ear to her, having already dug out a large chest of gold and silver jewelry. Xing'e also helped me pack everything up. Miss, you are doing the right thing. We will go back home right now. We don't need to suffer this grievance. Quick, help me send all of these to Miss Dao's place. I'm on it. There is no time to explain right now. I grabbed the things and ran toward the guest courtyard. When I arrived there, Cheke was ordering the cooks to serve dishes into the room one by one. It was a feast of delicacies with everything you could imagine. You moved fast. You weren't slow either. I stood next to him, gritting my teeth. Cheke and I both transmigrated into this book. In the real world, we were childhood friends and bitter rivals. We fought and bickered for over a decade, and even ended up at the same university. Cheke looked at the treasures in my arms and gave a fake smile. As it turned out, on our way home for summer break during our sophomore year, our bus overturned, and we both transmigrated into a novel. He became the cavalry general of the Great Yu dynasty. I cross-dressed as a man to follow him on to the battlefield. As the legitimate daughter of the Minister of Personnel, I had clearly read this book before, but I just couldn't match our characters to the plot. It wasn't until a month later that I finally understood. This was the freaking prequel. The male lead of the book wouldn't even be born for another 2 years. The reason Cheke and I hung out since childhood without cutting ties was because we were birds of a feather. Terrified of death, we asked the Emperor for a marriage edict at light speed to avoid being matched with others and causing extra complications. But that wasn't enough. We used our military merits to exchange for the death exemption medallions, finally claiming that years of warfare had ruined our health, and we needed to recuperate. We laid low in the general's manor for a whole year, but that dog Emperor absolutely refused to let Cheke resign. He was probably wary of his influence in the military. But the royal court has been in turmoil these past few years. We always felt that given the Emperor's suspicious nature, something bad was bound to happen sooner or later, and the death exemption medallions were far from enough. If we were going to cling to someone's coattails, we might as well pick the biggest ones. That night, Cheke and I brainstormed in our room all night. Finally, we hatched a plan. We decided to find the male lead's mother, who was pregnant with him and still wandering in exile, as long as we become the male lead's godparents. With his overpowered plot armor, our future wealth and glory would be guaranteed. So Cheke searched outside for 3 whole months. Finally, hard work paid off. Among a group of women just kidnapped by bandits, he found her Daoyana's unborn child. Carries the royal bloodline of the previous dynasty. When the child grows up, he will have all the ultimate cheats that male leads possess. He will unite the martial arts world, overthrow the current dynasty, expand the empire's borders, and establish a brand new era. Of course, Daoyana knows none of this. She had been hiding in exile, enduring endless hardships. Now, looking at our intimidating setup, she was so terrified that she dropped straight to her knees. Thank you, General and Madam, for saving my life. I know the General must want something in return for bringing me here. Please, General, just tell me what it is. Holy crap, her pregnancy isn't even stable yet. I quickly helped her up and gently patted her hand, comforting her. Don't panic. Don't panic, we don't want anything in return. It is just the very first time my husband laid eyes on you, he felt a strong connection. A connection? I nudged Cheke in the stomach. That is right. You were wearing red and yellow clothes at the time, which reminded me of the tomato and egg soup from the third dining hall. Daoyana's face was filled with horror. I hurriedly pulled her to the dining table to sit down, claiming that we knew her husband. Based on my fading memory of the prequel, I fabricated a roller coaster of a backstory. Only then did we manage to gain her trust. She agreed to stay and rest safely in the general's manor. Cheke had a nostalgic look on his face. However, Daoyana's true identity could not be revealed to the public. As a result, in just 3 days, several versions of wild rumors had already spread outside. When I took Xing'e to buy pastries at the bakery, people around us kept pointing fingers and whispering, "Did you hear? General Che brought a girl back from the outside." People always say how much in love the cavalry general and his madam are. But I think it is just so-so. He's probably tired of the Zhong family's daughter playing with swords and spears, having no sense of romance. That is why he brought one back from the outside. A woman still has to rely on a man. So what if she's the official wife? Without her husband's favor and heirs, her life will still be miserable. Poor Xing'e was fuming with anger. Miss, they're gossiping right in front of our faces. Meanwhile, I was just busy snatching up a freshly steamed basket of Asmanther's cakes. Quick, pack these up. Miss Dao loves eating these. Miss Xing'e. I pointed her to the other side. The 10-top quality old hens I pre-ordered. Quick, go get them. Pregnant women need nutrition the most. After that day, all the noble ladies in the capital started rumors that I had gone mad. Meanwhile, the men sighed with admiration, saying that an understanding official wife like me was truly rare. Little did I know, as the rumors spread, they eventually reached my former comrade in arms, the current commander of the Zunfang camp, Wei Feng. This Yandir's intentions toward me are far from pure. Checker hosted a routine social banquet for some officials. I did not expect to see Wei Feng at the table. He raised his wine cup to toast me. It has been a year. I hope you have been well. I froze. Checker picked up the wine cup in front of me, raised an eyebrow, and returned the toast. My madam is not a good drinker. I will drink it for her. I must admit, Checker can actually be quite reliable sometimes. Throughout the banquet, Wei Feng's burning gaze was completely unrestrained. His staring gave me the creeps. I made an excuse to leave. But I didn't expect Wei Feng to follow me. He stopped me in the courtyard and got straight to the point. Checker has already brought another woman back. Do you still treat him the same way you used to? Wait, what? Wei Feng leaned closer and closer to me. You can choose me instead. I do like handsome guys. I admit you are very handsome too. But you are a psycho. Thanks, but no thanks. I let out a forced laugh. Bypassed him and prepared to leave. Suddenly, Wei Feng let out a cold sneer behind me. I can prove it to you. I can do anything for you. Let me give you a welcome gift today. The trouble you cannot solve, I will solve it for you. What trouble do I have? I turned my head to look, my gaze sweeping across the pavilion, and I instantly froze. I saw Diana being grabbed by a man, pinned against the railing, shivering while protecting her belly. Holy crap, the male lead's mother. My future wealth and glory, what are you doing? Wei Feng twitched the corners of his mouth. What kind of nobody is she? How dare she be mentioned in the same breath as you, Zhong Yanqing? I will get rid of her for you today. After saying that, he waved his hand. Seeing that the man was about to push Dao Yana down, I frantically screamed, Checker! Checker came out, took one look, and obviously realized something was wrong. But from such a distance, even using his martial arts, it would be hard for him to catch her directly. He needed a boost. With no time to think, I took a step forward, dropped to one knee, and offered my back facing upward. Without a second thought, Checker stepped on my back, leapt into the air, and caught Dao Yana just as she was falling in midair. Wei Feng was stunned. The guests who came out to watch the drama were petrified. Miss Xing'e stumbled over in a panic to help me up. What kind of generals Madam acts as a literal stepping stone for someone else? Next time. Under the crowd's astonished gazes, I calmly patted the footprint off my clothes. Next time, you do it. Xing'e, next time remember to pat it with a cloth. Oh man, look how dirty this outfit got. On the other side, Checker held Dao Yana and landed steadily, just like in an idol drama. He handed Dao Yana over to me and flew up again to catch the thug on the pavilion. Unexpectedly, a throwing knife was even faster than him. It brushed right past Checker's ear and directly pierced the man's heart. I immediately turned back and glared at Wei Feng. He looked back at me innocently, clapped his hands, and said, That thug dared to murder someone in the general's manor in broad daylight. I was afraid he would hurt General Chair, so I had to kill him with one strike. If Madam is not going to thank me, then I will let it go. But why are you looking at me like that? I thank your whole entire family. I haven't seen him in a year. Wei Feng is living up to his name. He's getting crazier and crazier. Back when we were in the military camp together, he treated me noticeably different. I once saw him secretly keeping my handkerchief, taking it out at night to cover his mouth and nose while panting. That scared the living daylights out of me. From then on, I stayed as far away from him as possible. After returning to the capital, I quickly entered a marriage of convenience with Check Air. On the day of the wedding, Wei Feng rode his horse and followed my bridal sedan the entire way. He lifted the sedan curtain, his fingers gripping the sedan turning white. He repeatedly muttered the phrase, "Just a little bit more, just a little bit." I only found out later that right after we asked for the marriage edict, he went straight to the emperor to ask for my hand in marriage. Thank goodness I was fast. After the wedding, we laid low while Wei Feng went out and earned a year's worth of military merits. Now he has just returned to the capital and became the commander of the Zhongfang camp. After sending everyone away, I was applying medicine for Check in our room. His face got a cut from that flying knife. Even an idiot could tell Wei Feng did it on purpose. Xinga suddenly came knocking on the door. "General, Madam, Miss Dao is outside the courtyard holding lotus root soup, saying she wants to bring it in." I was about to tell her to come in, but Cheke stopped me. "What is wrong?" Cheke's expression was very complicated. "Have you ever read a novel? Today I played the hero saving the beauty in broad daylight, and now Dao Yana is delivering soup in the middle of the night. Can you guess what she's thinking?" I said with absolute certainty, "She wants to take you as her master. Do you have no brain?" Cheke pinched my face hard. "She has a crush on me." "What?" Cheke looked at me in exasperation, cleared his throat, and told Xinga to bring Dao Yana in. Dao Yana walked in carrying a food box. After bowing, she placed the food box on the table. Cheke looked totally solemn. "Miss Dao, I will be blunt with you. I saved you and brought you back, only because I have some ties with your husband. Right now, your husband's whereabouts are unknown, so I'm just taking care of you on his behalf. As for your feelings, forgive me, but I cannot accept them." Dao Yana was stunned for a few seconds. Suddenly, she leaned over and started dry heaving. I was so startled, I quickly stood up to pat her back. "What is going on? Is morning sickness this bad?" Dao Yana wasn't having morning sickness. She was grossed out by the general. I let out a very awkward, embarrassed dry laugh. I was just joking. Then he quickly changed the subject, reaching for the lotus root soup. "This soup looks good." Dao Yana beat him to it and served the soup, handing him a tiny bowl and giving the rest of the giant part to me. "Madam has a noble status, yet risked your life to save me today. Yana will remember this kindness. When my child is born in the future, I will definitely let him know of this profound gratitude too." My eyes brimmed with tears. I almost wanted to do a Thomas Flare and drop to my knees to kowtow to her. I didn't expect this at all. Ha ha ha. The chosen one is actually me. Glancing at Cheke's darkened face, I couldn't help but look up to the sky and laugh. Holding Dao Yana's hands, I said with genuine emotion, "With those words of yours, I am completely relieved." Dao Yana frowned slightly. "My identity is a secret. It will only bring you trouble. From now on, just let me do chores around the manor. Just say I'm a bought servant." "How can we do that? You are still pregnant." I thought for a moment. "If you don't mind, I have an idea." The next day, we deliberately made a huge scene going out on the street, extravagantly booking the entire largest restaurant in the capital. Sure enough, this move directly attracted everyone's attention. I linked arms with Dao Yana and got off the carriage. The restaurant owner personally came out to greet us. "Madam Chair, it has been a while." He then sized up the person next to me with a slightly bulging belly. The richly dressed Dao Yana. "This madam looks very unfamiliar. She is not any family's madam." The noble ladies watching the drama nearby all covered their mouths and chuckled. "This Zhong Yanqing really is a weirdo. She actually treats the mistress like a sister. Look at this girl, she's even pregnant. Wouldn't that be General Qi's eldest son?" TSK. Zhang Yanqing doesn't even feel embarrassed. Dao Yana tugged at my sleeve. I patted her hand reassuringly, then raised my voice. What do you mean not any families, madam? Of course, she is from the Che family. The restaurant owner glanced at Cheke and hurriedly started flattering him. Congratulations, General Che. You are about to have a precious son. You are congratulating the wrong person. Cheke reached out his hand in a dramatic stop gesture. Huh? The owner was completely dumbfounded on the spot. Cheke and I supported Dao Yana, one on each side, and walked inside. Auntie, be careful. Is my little brother in your belly kicking you again? My father finally got a son in his old age. We must be very careful. Cheke followed up. Owner, bring out the menu. Within 3 days, the news that old General Che had taken a new wife at the border and sent her back to the capital to rest had spread all over the city. That night, Cheke squatted under the corridor, looking at the letter delivered by an express horse from the border, lost in deep thought. What did your dad say? He said there is a chest of gold buried under the pear tree in our yard. I squatted down next to him. Wow. He told me to dig it up and buy myself a nicer coffin. I have nothing to say. I patted his back. Cheke wiped his face in despair. Stay strong once the overpowered male lead is born safely. Our suffering will finally be over. If you feel bitter inside, just let it out. I want to beat you up. I'm going to check if Dao Yana is properly covered with her blanket tonight. Wishing up on the stars and the moon, the time finally came. It was 1 week before Dao Yana's delivery. We had been taking care of her so cautiously, but we never expected Dao Yana to overeat in the morning. By the afternoon, she had unbearable stomach pain. After the doctor examined her, he frowned and said, she has been poisoned by fullness. What poison? Fullness poison, the toxins produced after eating too much. Cheke expression lustily picked up a knife next to him. General, what are you doing? I have been poisoned by chopping. The toxins produced when I want to chop someone. This chopping poison? I've never heard of it before. Doctor, so your fullness poison makes sense. Listen to yourself, does that even sound logical? I hurriedly stopped him. After sending the doctor away, I took a few deep breaths and said, Cheke. Originally, there was this plot line, where the male lead gets poisoned while still in his mother's womb. He needed 1,000-year ginseng, fleece flower root, and other rare herbs for treatment. After being born, he becomes immune to all poisons. But who could have guessed that because we protected Dao Yana too well, she didn't have the chance to get poisoned. So the system set up this outrageous fullness poison, several herbs mentioned in the book, can be bought at most pharmacies, except for that 1,000-year ginseng. The oldest ones in the pharmacies are only 100 years old. As far as I know, there is only 1,000-year ginseng in the entire capital. Just a few months ago, when Wei Feng returned to the capital, the emperor awarded it to him. Oh great, we are doomed. Cheke and I sat in the courtyard, sighing deeply. After a long while, I spoke up. How about I go seduce him a little bit? No way, Cheke blurted out almost instantly. I glanced at him. He awkwardly averted his gaze. Even without clinging to coattails, our family can still survive for a few years. There is no need for you to sacrifice your looks. This morning, several officials in the court impeached you for being a freeloader, right? Seeing how they are about to make an example out of you, are you sure we can survive for a few years? Besides, this child is the male lead. If he dies, will this world even exist anymore? Cheke stayed silent. After a long pause, he looked at me with a sneaky gleam in his eyes. Do you remember in our sophomore year of high school, when we went to the teacher's office together to steal our phones back? I could never forget that, even if you beat me to death. That year, the school strictly cracked down on students bringing phones. Both Cheke and I got caught, but it was New Year's Eve. And we had plans with a few close friends to sneak out and hang out, so I pretended to faint in the classroom to lure all the teachers out of the office, letting Cheke sneak in and steal our phones back. Later, the phones were successfully stolen back. But to make my fainting look realistic, when they were helping me up, I let my whole body go limp and leaned back. My head hit the floor, and I actually passed out. That day, Check carried me on his back and sprinted wildly to the infirmary. Because of a pulled muscle, he ended up lying in the bed right next to mine. I looked at Check suspiciously. You could possibly be thinking, if Check cannot get it back by force, then we will just steal it back. The next day, we sent a calling card to Wei Feng's manor. But his reply card stated that he only welcomed me to visit. Check gritted his teeth in anger, but we had to change our strategy. I would store Wei Feng in the front hall, while he snuck into his vault from the backyard to search for it. That day, I bundled myself up in 3 outer layers and 3 inner layers. Wei Feng stood in the pavilion, sizing me up. You. I hurriedly said, I am sick. My chills are pretty severe. Wei Feng. Are you not hot? I wiped the sweat off my forehead. Not hot. Look, I'm even breaking out in cold sweats. Seeing my restricted movement, Wei Feng tried to come over and help me again. I quickly took a step back to dodge him. This illness is contagious. You better be careful. Wei Feng suddenly let out a laugh, looking at me with deep amusement. You are so cute. I really cannot hold back anymore. I check air. Hurry the hell up. I cannot hold on much longer. After drinking 2 cups of tea, I really couldn't stand Wei Feng's gaze anymore. Using the excuse of going to the restroom, I hid in the backyard and happened to bump into Check up on the roof beam. His brows were tightly furrowed. I have searched everywhere. It is not here. I suspect the ginseng is hidden in Wei Feng's bedroom, but the door is locked with a padlock, and the key must be on him. But how to get the key from Wei Feng and keep him from returning to his room for a while was a huge problem. I thought for a moment, then looked at Check. Did you bring the knockout powder? Check showed me the powder. I sprinkled all of it onto my personal handkerchief. He couldn't help but frown. You are underestimating Wei Feng. With his level of vigilance, if you get close to him so abnormally, he will definitely get suspicious. You are underestimating me. I tucked the handkerchief, evenly coated with knockout powder, into my pocket, and returned to the pavilion. Upon seeing Wei Feng, I let out several fake, sorrowful sighs. Lord Wei, I know. The recent memorials impeaching Check in the royal court were all instigated by you. Please show some mercy. I knew you came to my manor to plead for Check, wanting me to stop making trouble for him. That is easy to handle. He stood up, walked behind me, leaned in close to my ear, and whispered, You know what I want the most. I stumbled away to avoid him, glaring at him. Please have some self-respect. Forget it. Impeach him if you want. Suit yourself. I flicked my sleeves and strode out of the pavilion. And what accidentally dropped on the ground was my personal handkerchief. I caught a glimpse behind me from the corner of my eye. I saw Wei Feng pick up the handkerchief, rub it a couple of times, greedily bury his face in it for a kiss, and then he passed out instantly. Check, hiding in the dark, was utterly dumbfounded. I went back, gave Wei Feng a kick, and bragged, You do not understand perverts. Check had a complicated expression. You are right. I really do not understand you. Check found that 1,000-year ginseng in Wei Feng's bedroom. After bringing it back to use as medicine for Diana, sure enough, she recovered immediately. 3 days later, Check and I were anxiously waiting outside the delivery room. Suddenly, the weather changed drastically. Hundreds of magpies circled above the general's manor, following a loud baby's cry. The originally gloomy sky revealed rays of rosy clouds, literally blinding our eyes. Check said, My God. I replied, Freaking awesome. Truly worthy of being the male lead. Even his birth is so mind-blowing. Check rubbed his hands together greedily. Godson, your godfather is here. I shoved him aside. Godmother wants a hug. Just as Check and I were fighting to cling to the coattails, Wei Feng kicked open the gates of the general's manor holding a sword. With red eyes and a face full of murderous hostility, he walked toward Check. You entered my room. Not a single guard in the entire manor dared to step forward. Checker held the baby and frowned. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Wei Feng glared. You took something of mine. Checker acted completely shameless. That is right, I took the ginseng. Wei Feng roared. Not that. Checker, what else did you take besides the ginseng? Judging by Wei Feng's reaction, this thing is way more precious than the ginseng. I looked at Checker. He avoided my gaze. This guy must have made a fortune behind my back. Before I could even wrap my head around it, Wei Feng suddenly charged toward Checker with his sword. My eyes went wide immediately. My godson, Checker held the baby and retreated rapidly. But it was too late. Just as the sword was about to harm the child, with asterisk sound, the sword snapped in two. Wei Feng froze. He pulled out poison needles from his waist and threw them at Checker. Suddenly, a few birds flew down from the sky, blocking every single one of the poison needles. Wei Feng would not give up. He charged over with his bare hands. He took just one step when he accidentally stepped on a round little pebble, hit his head on the ground, and passed out cold. Checker and I looked at each other. Checker was very confused. What is going on? I was stunned for a second, then suddenly realized. I could not help but laugh toward the sky. It is the male lead's halo. The male lead's halo. After the servants from Wei Feng's manor carried him away, I grabbed a stick and cornered Checker in the room. Tell me the truth. What good stuff did you snatch from Wei Feng's room? Split it 50-50. Checker walked over to the cabinet expressionlessly and took out a blood-stained fragment of a dress from a box. This guy kept even the 1,000-year ginseng casually on the cabinet. But he hid this piece of fabric in a secret compartment under his bed. I looked closely. And this fabric, is it not the dress I was wearing on the first day I transmigrated? That day, I appeared directly on the battlefield, scared half to death by the sight of corpses everywhere. When I finally found one person still breathing, Wei Feng hurriedly tore off a piece of his own fabric to bandage them up. After that, a crap. After that, he became super creepy toward me. This freaking thing is the source of all evil. Checker's expression turned chilling. Wei Feng is a total psycho. Do you know what I saw in his backyard? My hair stood on end for no reason. What? Corpses. The dungeon was full of corpses. All of them were young women. They all shared one thing in common. Checker looked at me. They look somewhat similar to you. At this moment, I only had one thought in my head. Male lead, please grow up faster. Your godmother is cowardly and loves her life. I really need your protection. And so, we began the long road of raising our child. I quickly forgot about the whole Wei Feng incident, because Ziqian's male lead halo was just too incredibly useful. Yes, Ziqia is this book's male lead, Long Qingshan. Very cool, very main character. Just how useful is this halo? I carried him to the casino, and we won every single hand. Checker took him for a stroll at the bottom of a cliff, and every time they found martial arts secret manuals. Xing'e took him to play in the mountains, and 9 times out of 10, they picked up rare and precious herbs. Just like that, it was as if we had found a bug in the world's matrix. We lived our days in absolute bliss. By the time Ziqia learned how to speak, Daoyana somehow, from somewhere, got news about her husband. She wanted to take Ziqia to find him. This day had finally come. The first heartbreaking plot point of the book, on her way to find her husband, Daoyana would die protecting Ziqia. Ziqia would then be taken away by his father, who had become a regional overlord. The night before Daoyana was scheduled to depart, Checker and I sat in our room for a long time. Neither of us said a word, until we heard outside Xing'e whispering with another maid. It is so late today, and they still haven't put out the lights. Hair, the general had deer antler velvet for dinner, so of course he is full of energy. Blame me. I totally corrupted this girl Xing'e. I awkwardly rubbed my nose and spoke first. So, what are we going to do? Checker replied in a muffled voice. You are asking me. Haven't you already started packing your bags? Not to be outdone, I retorted, if you are not planning to tag along. Then why are you counting silver tails? Checker said, I just think we have been laying low for too long. Going out for a spin is not a bad idea. The grass is growing and the birds are flying outside right now. It would be nice to see the scenery. I quickly chimed in. Besides, if we save Sister Dao, then the favors Ziqia owes us will be bigger than the sky itself. We can literally cling to his coattails and slack off for the rest of our lives. We were both just finding excuses for each other to back down, but we both knew clearly in our hearts. Having lived in this world for so long, watching Ziqia grow from birth to babbling his first words, and learning to call us godfather and godmother, not to mention Dao Yana always busying herself, managing the household for us. We had long lost the ability to just be bystanders. After setting off with Dao Yana, we searched outside for half a month. Not a single trace was found. Seeing that conflicts were breaking out everywhere outside, and wars were being fought all over the place, we decided to return to the capital first before making further plans. The carriage travelled along the mountain road. Dao Yana and I were sitting inside teasing the baby. Suddenly, there was a bump. Cheke's serious voice came from outside. Something is not right about this place. I lifted the wooden curtain of the carriage, only to see the mountain road empty. The surroundings were dead silent. Sit tight. Cheke shouted loudly. He suddenly raised the whip and drove the horses forward fiercely. A dozen assassins suddenly appeared behind us, in hot pursuit. What do we do? This was the first time I truly faced life and death. After Cheke shook them off for a certain distance, he slowed down and said coldly, "Now is the time. You guys jump off and hide in the bushes over there. Do not make a sound." I reached out and grabbed his clothes tightly. "What about you?" Cheke turned around and gave me a deep look. "I will lure them away." He grabbed my wrist, squeezed it tightly, and ruthlessly shook me off. "Go!" There was no time to say more. Holding Ziqia, Dao Yana and I jumped out of the carriage. The world spun around us. We hid ourselves in the dense bushes by the roadside. I can only say he truly is the male lead. Despite all this tossing around, he did not cry at all, watching the carriage get further and further away, with the assassins trailing like shadows right behind it. My heart jumped into my throat. Dao Yana patted my hand, comforting me. "Do not worry. The general will be fine." The moment I made a sound, I realized I was already crying. He doesn't know how to do anything. Relying on his amateur martial arts, why is he playing the hero? Dao Yana could not understand my words. She could only hold my hand tightly. I do not know how long passed. There was not a single sound left in our surroundings. I quickly chased after the direction the carriage had left. In a patch of woods, there were bloodstains everywhere. The assassins' corpses were scattered across the ground, and Cheke was leaning against a tree, with his eyes closed. He was covered in blood. I didn't know if it was his or someone else's. I squatted in front of him, hands trembling, not daring to touch him. Tears were already streaming down. Disregarding everything, I started wailing. "If you die, what am I going to do? You know I am most afraid of being alone. We have been together since we were little. I really cannot do this alone. Then I will go with you." I reached out to grab the sword in Cheke's hand, but I couldn't pull it out. He opened his eyes and forced a weak smile. "I am not dead yet." For a moment, I cried even harder. He raised his hand to wipe away my tears, then pinched my cheek. "Idiot, I am very strong. Thanks to Ziqia, I picked up so many martial arts secret manuals. I didn't let them go to waste." I choked on my sobs. "You knew this day would come." Cheke smiled. "Otherwise, why would I practice martial arts? Wasn't it all just to protect you?" He patted the ground beside him. "Look, you do not have to be afraid anymore." Only then did I notice that there was a corpse lying next to him. I leaned in closer for a look. It was Wei Feng. Wei Feng commanded the Zunfang camp. Only the emperor could mobilize him, even though it was delayed by 2 years because of our intervention. The emperor still found out about the existence of the previous dynasty's royal bloodline. He wanted to eliminate the threat once and for all, because Cheke was injured. The journey back to the capital was exceptionally slow, but unexpectedly, just 100 miles outside the capital, another wave of pursuers caught up. I was cursing up a storm, while getting ready to run for our lives. Dao Yana suddenly stopped me. "Madam, wait." She jumped off the carriage, locked eyes with the leader of the opposing group from afar, and burst into tears. "Husband, oh my goodness." The male lead's father finally showed up. I glanced at the heavily bandaged Cheke and sighed. "No wonder Sister Dao wasn't interested in you." Just look at her husband. He's taller than you and more handsome than you. Check air. Watch your words. You are a married woman. I snorted. It is just a marriage in name only. Check blurted out. It can be real too. I froze and instinctively turned to look at him. Check seemed to have not processed his own words either. After a long pause, he awkwardly averted his gaze. I am just joking. After the male lead's parents finished pouring their hearts out to each other, they held hands and walked over to us. When Long Bo stood there, dominating aura, Dao Yana said happily, these past few years, I truly relied entirely on the general and madam taking me in. Oh right, husband. You brothers probably haven't seen each other in a long time. Oh no, back then we were just talking nonsense, saying we knew her husband. How are we going to smooth this over? I twitched the corners of my mouth, as if we need to have met before to feel like old friends. Long Bo let out a hearty laugh, and slapped Check heavily on the back. From now on, you are my blood brother. Now that the Dog Emperor knows, our branch of the royal bloodline is still alive. He's already started trying to wipe us all out. I am afraid you can no longer return to your general's manner. If you trust me, then come with me. Looking at Check's expression, I knew. That slap definitely gave him internal injuries. We followed Long Bo back to their territory. Zichia became the young master, and was busy being taken around by his dad to see the world. Meanwhile, things between Checker and me became really weird. Sometimes when we were alone together, it would even get awkward. One day, when I was chatting with Daoyana, she said, actually, over these past 2 years, I could tell that you two are only husband and wife on the surface. But since you two clearly like each other, why not try taking it a step further? I fell silent. Over a decade of friendship, taking it a step further didn't seem that easy. Checke's injuries healed quickly. Having nothing to do, he would follow Long Bo to the training ground to play. I suddenly felt even more bored. So I hung out in the study reading picture books. This day, as I was flipping through pages, suddenly a book fell from the sky and smacked right onto my head. I was stunned because this book was titled Asterisk The Road to Seize Heaven Asterisk. It was the very book we had transmigrated into. If I even have the future plotline, wouldn't I be invincible? My heart surging, I excitedly opened it, only to find there was just a tiny bit. Updated up to when Zichia was 4 years old, which is our current timeline. The last sentence read, the death of Long Qingshan's godmother, Zhong Yanqing, planted a seed of hatred within him. He swore to become the strongest person in the world, so that he could protect the people he loved. It was like a lightning bolt exploded in my brain. The book dropped to the floor. I'm going to die. Then what the hell is the point of playing? Without another word, I rushed out, grabbed Zichia who was playing in the yard, and brought him inside. Then, I said to him righteously, from now on, I am not your godmother. I am your older sister. Then I opened the book again. The text had changed too, the death of Long Qingshan's older sister, Zhong Yanqing. I immediately slammed it shut. I misspoke just now. I am your aunt. I opened it again, the death of Long Qingshan's aunt, Zhong Yanqing. I viciously threw the book onto the floor. I am your granduncle. The book lying on the floor just happened to fall open to that page. The death of Long Qingshan's granduncle, Zhong Yanqing. I am so tired, just destroy me already. I must have stood there in a daze for a long time. Zichia tugged at my sleeve. Godmother, what is wrong? I looked down at him, forcing a smile. If one day godmother can no longer stay by your side, will Zichia be sad? The little boy nodded. Yes, but godfather will definitely be the saddest. I was stunned as Zichia said in his milky voice. Because godfather likes godmother the absolute most. Me? Why? Zichia started counting on his fingers. Godfather always looks at godmother and smiles. Last time, the Asmonthus cake I secretly gave you was actually given to me by godfather. Godfather also always hugs me and says, in the future, I must absolutely protect godmother well. Because you're most afraid of dying. I burst out laughing. But as I laughed, I started crying. Since I am definitely going to die, then what am I still afraid of? I have been single for so many years. I have never even had a real boyfriend. If I die like this, the other ghosts will totally laugh at me. When Cheke came back in the evening, I was in the yard, drinking wine. He ran in excitedly, stopped right in front of me, and showed off. Do you see anything different about me? I looked up at him. His forehead was still sweaty, and his eyes were sparkling brightly. He looked like such a dork, so I smiled and shook my head. At this moment, he rolled up his sleeves and flexed his muscles. I've been training with Brother Long at the drilling ground for so long. Looks like the results are pretty good, right? I asked, why the sudden bodybuilding? Cheke gave me an annoyed side eye. Wasn't it because someone said earlier that I wasn't as dominating as Brother Long? How about now? Am I dominating enough? No dominating aura, just pure silliness. Cheke pulled a long face and ignored me. Reeking of alcohol, I walked towards him. Cheke deliberately crossed his arms and turned his head away. Let me tell you, I am truly angry. It will be very hard for you to coax me back. Even if you... Before he could finish his sentence, I stood on my tiptoes and kissed him. Cheke froze completely on the spot. After a long while, he touched his lips and stared at me blankly. I said with a straight face, back in our freshman year of college, a guy confessed his feelings to me, and you ended up beating him up. Cheke got anxious. That scumbag was up to no good. What I mean is, you ruined my chance at getting a boyfriend. So you have to compensate me with one. Cheke. I just said that he was. He froze and slowly turned his head to look at me. It was my first time doing something like this. Seeing his reaction, I suddenly felt incredibly embarrassed. I hurriedly tried to brush it off. Well, I drank too much. Do not take it seriously. After saying that, I tried to run away. But Cheke grabbed me. He held the back of my neck and kissed me fiercely and passionately for the next few days. Cheke and I were completely inseparable. We stuck to each other almost every single day. When the weather was nice, we went boating on the lake. When the weather was bad, we cuddled under the corridor watching the rain. Every day we would go out to the streets to find new delicious food. Occasionally, we would cook together. Turning the kitchen upside down in chaos, I often stared at Cheke in a daze, thinking how wonderful it would be if days like this never had to end. Unfortunately, I'd already foreseen my own ending. The more days I spent like this, the more unwilling I became to accept it. Why must I be the one sacrificed for the plot? So, after several sleepless nights, I decided to confess everything to Cheke. We could figure out a way together. Maybe there would actually be a solution. After lunch one afternoon, Cheke was sunbathing in the yard. I took out that book, The Road to Sea's Heaven. Take a look at this. Cheke glanced at it, and his face instantly flushed red. Didn't we just follow the picture book yesterday? No. What the heck? This is not an erotic book. Cheke sat up, completely confused. Then what is it? This is the book we are currently living in. I took a deep breath and said, there is something I have been hiding from you. Turn to page 89. Cheke opened the book, not understanding why. Then he stared at the contents inside, falling into deep thought. Seeing him like this, my eyes could not help but tear up. What should we do? Cheke frowned and looked at me. Who is this Chedudu? I also wait, what? I snatched the book back, only to see it clearly written on the page. The moment he saw Chedudu, Long Qingshen knew she would be the love of his life. He swore to become the strongest person in the world, so that he could protect the one he loved. Who is Chedudu? I was completely bewildered. Just earlier, it said it was my death that made Zicha swear to become the strongest person. Then I do not have to die. I do not have to die, just as I finished speaking. Zicha ran back in from the yard holding a candied hawthorn stick. I could not help but hug him and kiss him several times. Zicha wiped the saliva off his face, then suddenly looked at me very strangely. I panicked a little. What is wrong? Zicha touched my belly and said with a giggly smile, Dudu. What? Zicha spun in circles around me. Godmother has a little doo-doo in her belly. I will have a little sister to play with me. I instinctively turned around to look at Cheke. He stood frozen in place like he had been struck by lightning. Several seconds passed before I slowly realized that I might be becoming the male lead's mother-in-law. Oh, how exciting! Cheke got angry because I originally knew I was going to die. Yeah, I kept it from him for so long without telling him. He was incredibly mad. Every day he sat sulking at the edge of the bed, full of grievance. Now I have nightmares about you every single night. Dreaming that you were going to die. John Yanqing, you were so heartless. If the plot had not changed. Were you planning to leave me as a widower? I just sat beside him and poked him with my finger. Well, wasn't I already planning to tell you? Cheke snorted. I figured he probably needed some time alone to cool down. So I crawled back under the covers and went to sleep by myself. After a while, a warm body pressed up next to me. Cheke pulled me into his arms and buried his face in my back. At first, I did not know what he was doing, until I felt my back get wet. He was crying, actually crying. Oh my god. Who is Cheke? A guy who never even shed a tear when he broke a bone in a fight. For a moment, I was at a complete loss for what to do. Cheke spoke in a muffled voice behind my back. Listen here. Do not ever let there be a second time. I obediently agreed, okay. He held me and snorted again. I think long Qingshan is not good enough for our doo-doo. You sure changed the topic fast. But right now, Cheke was emotionally sensitive. So I just humoured him. He's literally the male lead. What kind of son-in-law do you want? Male leads are exactly the dangerous ones. They always attract too many romantic entanglements. That made sense, I casually added. But I believe our doo-doo will definitely be the most outstanding one. She will definitely be smart, beautiful, and tough. Cheke has suddenly propped himself up, staring at me with burning eyes in the dark. Just how tough? That night, my furious roar echoed through the entire courtyard. Cheke, you F***ing beast. I am pregnant.